right, guys. So today we have a very exciting video. So let's get right to it. Today is about how to break your weight loss plateau. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lily Kathleen, and I work with weight loss primarily for women within the 30 to 50-year-old age bracket. And this is going to be very beneficial for you if you are in the 30 to 50-year age bracket, because there are a lot of changes, like hormonal changes, metabolic changes, lifestyle factors, etc. And again, the reason I've written for women 30 to 50 is simply because this is what happens within that age bracket, and this is why your plateau is an issue. But if you're younger than 30 or over the age of 50, like late 50s, it's not beneficial for you. It's not applicable. It's going to be a waste of your time. So please click off that video if that is you. You might find some other helpful resources, though, in some of my other videos. But this video particularly, it's really only for women within that age bracket, for the following reasons. So to start off with, in case you don't know me, my name's Lily. I've been doing weight loss coaching with women for years now. I think it's almost 5 years, but yep, technically still 4 years. I'm pretty sure in a month or two it'll be 5 years. And yeah, I'm an ex-professional athlete. I've studied nutrition, biomedical science. I was also a face-to-face trainer in 2 different gyms over the years. And I've personally been coached over a decade, as I have a prior professional athletic background, and that's a photo of me, so you know I'm a human being. All right, so first one is estrogen and hormonal changes, okay? So even though that's estrogen in a packet there, the reason I put the image there is because you can put hormones into your body, obviously, okay? And birth control pills, etc., they're hormones, okay? I'm sure you've heard of the fact that you can inject or orally consume hormones, which will change your hormones, obviously. But the reason I included that image is it's kind of the same story with what happens as women when we get to that 30 to 50-year-old age bracket without having to actually consume any hormones. So our body actually just naturally changes essentially how much of particular hormones are in our body, and either increases it or decreases it. So it's kind of like the same story as taking hormonal supplements, pills, sorry, or not suddenly taking a hormonal supplement. Is that the case is you're not actually actively physically doing anything in terms of your consumption. It's more so just what your body biologically undergoes. So to get into it a little bit more in depth, now bear with me. I'll explain this as simply as I can. Your menstrual cycle, okay, this is like a standard menstrual cycle. So you have your follicular phase and your luteal phase. And essentially up here where my cursor is in the middle, that is a corpus luteum being dropped, okay? And a corpus luteum is essentially like the egg that is developed. And as long as that egg is not fertilized and it's dropped, then we bleed. Nice, how fun. And that's our endometrium layer, so which is essentially like the thick wall that accumulates like blood, basically. And that's why we bleed when that corpus luteum isn't fertilized. It's actually the endometrium layer bleeding. So that's that. Now, 4 main hormones I want you to focus on to understand this on a deeper level is FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone. If you get lost, just focus on estrogen and progesterone. But for reference, FSH is your follicular stimulating hormone. LH is your luteinizing hormone. So FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, essentially stimulates follicular growth. So the follicle, essentially. So if you look up here, the purple dot is the corpus luteum, the actual egg. And then if you look at my hands right now, that's the egg. And then your follicle is a thing that the sac per se, that the egg is developed in. So the follicular stimulating hormone stimulates not the egg, but it stimulates the growth that the egg is in, of like the sac, essentially. You have your luteinizing hormone, which we won't get into much today because this is more about a weight plateau. But yeah, there's a lot of things I could say about that one. And then just for reference throughout this presentation, estrogen, where I'm based, is spelt with an E, but if you're American or based in the UK, it might be spelt with an O. So like estrogen, but it's spelt with an O, OES. But it's the same thing. Okay, it's just a terminological thing based on where you are in the world. So if you see throughout this presentation, oh, what's estrogen with the O? It's the same thing. And as you can see, these hormones swap about a lot and they fluctuate. But yeah, moving on. So our menstrual cycle, obviously, there's a stage in our life where we have heavier periods, or periods that are more regular, depending on your level of health, of course. And then we have perimenopause before here, which is like the stage before menopause. And then we have menopause, and then we have postmenopause. And yeah, essentially the blood here, or the red, is actually the amount of estrogen you have in your body. So it can get quite high, and then it drops off, which is why we experience the things that we do. And yeah, but just keep in mind, this is generalistic. Like, some women might hit menopause earlier. I've had some clients that experienced menopause earlier than 50, and I've also had some clients that experienced menopause in their later 50s. So yeah, and it doesn't mean there's anything necessarily wrong with your body. It's just a biological process. So this is like my favorite diagram in the entire world. If you're a client of mine watching this, you will know why. But yeah, so again, estrogen, whether that's an O or E, it's the same thing. And then we have progesterone. Okay. And essentially, without getting too in depth, you can see that majority of your fertile years, so 18 to like late 20s, again, it's that's just generalistic. Your progesterone is higher majority of the time than your estrogen. But then when you hit perimenopause, it flips and your estrogen is higher than your progesterone. So if you're currently watching this and you think you might be perimenopausal or premenopausal, and you're experiencing like a lot of symptoms, or maybe you are very emotional and whatnot, that's why. Okay, so completely understandable. And as you can see, like the difference here in terms of like the actual gap between the red and the blue is very big, right? Whereas the gap between the red and the blue up here is smaller. So that's why everything's like more severe. And for some women, it's a very difficult stage of their life to like emotionally and physically kind of get to. And it's a bit of a shock at first. But I'm just reassuring you that that's normal and that's why. But then, as you can see, as we hit menopause, that gap is not as big. However, your estrogen is above your progesterone in comparison to your younger years. So yeah, that's that. And I hope that brings a bit of light to the issue there. Now, on the back end of that, just want to make sure I'm still, yeah, okay, cool. Stay with me for a sec. So with your hormones, essentially as women, your hormone shifts, right? And the changes around perimenopause and premenopause are quite drastic, as I said. And not only does like estrogen change around and progesterone changes around, and essentially one of those hormones is responsible for the maintenance of a pregnancy, and then the other one is responsible for being able to fall pregnant. Regardless, because your estrogen in here, see how it's higher, and menopause is higher, estrogen's high, that means your cortisol's going to go high, and your cortisol is essentially your stress hormone, which then can cause a lot of other symptoms, which we won't get into today, but I'll probably make another video about it. And then you've also got like factors like insulin, which can also influence how the body essentially stores fat and how efficiently it does or doesn't burn fat. or burn calories more like it. So an example would be if you had lower estrogen levels at one stage. See how like this estrogen, it's high here and then it goes down. Oh, and then it goes high and then it goes down and then it goes high and then it goes down. At those stages when the estrogen is like lower than what it normally is, this can basically lead to a slower metabolism, which therefore can make weight management more challenging. So see how it's like quite a bumpy road? That's why. So that brings me to the point of metabolism and metabolic changes. And bear with me because I will explain this more simply and in simplistic terms. There's an image of a cell there for a reason. And essentially, every single cell in your body, your skin cells, your fat cells, your organ cells, like literally every cell of your body. Remember, our bodies are made up of like hundreds and trillions of cells, right? All of our cells perform all of these daily actions and tasks on repeat, as long as they're healthy cells, which burns energy, right? But as I just said, when you're at this stage of your life, your metabolism lowers and it doesn't work as quickly or efficiently, okay? And that's okay. That's part of aging, okay? But essentially, like, this isn't an example of a intracellular activity. That's your mitochondria for reference. But look, anyway, without getting too scientific, essentially there's like a process, okay? And this process is still happening as you age. It's just happening at a slower rate. And therefore, instead of burning like, let's just say 10 volts of energy, volts isn't the right term, but you get what I'm saying, to perform this process, because it's doing it slower, it's only burning 5 volts. So as a result, your caloric burn is lowered. So we have this word called, just want to make sure that we're sharing the right screen here. Yeah, we are. Okay, cool. So yeah, essentially you have this word called caloric maintenance, which is how many calories you have to burn to how many calories you have to consume to maintain the current weight that you're at. Okay, so for me, I don't really suss out my calories too often because I'm at a healthy weight and it's a lifestyle for me. And health and fitness has always been part of my life. But let's just say it's 1,500 calories, which it isn't. I'm sure it's more than that. Let's just say it's like 1,800. That's a little bit more realistic. For me to not budge my weight and for it to stay the same, I have to eat 1,800 calories. But likelihood is that if you're watching this video, you're older than me. You may not be, but you most likely are. And in that case, for you to maintain your current weight, it's probably not 1,800 calories. Maybe it's 1,500, 1,200, potentially even up to 1,000 calories. So this brings me into the point of lifestyle. Okay. So not only does your metabolism change, your lifestyle changes, right? And back to the caloric intake sides of things, essentially over time, your body is burning less calories, okay? And likelihood is you're at rest and you're not performing as much activity as you did in your younger years on top of that, okay? So not only do we have this metabolic and hormonal shift, our lives change, right? I'm sure you don't have the same life that you did when you were 20. So essentially, a woman who is able to eat XYZ amount of calories in their 20s and then, don't have any struggles with gaining weight, you might find the case is that the same caloric intake that you used to eat when you were 20, it now leads to weight gain. Or it's a certain amount of calories that's simply leading to a plateau. And a plateau is where the weight isn't budging, it's not going up, it's not going down, it's just staying the same. And that's two of the reasons why. Now, lifestyle, as I said, busy schedules, increased responsibilities, stress, sometimes a reduction in physical activity as well. Look, this can all impact weight loss. It's not like one particular thing. And majority of the time there's more demands as we get older. Don't we all love that? But yeah, essentially it can be more challenging, okay, to consistently prioritize self-care and eating healthy and exercising, etc. So, for example, maybe you exercised a heap back in your 20s and you know in your heart of hearts that you don't exercise as much as you do or did then. Even like when you were younger at school, you probably did activities and things like that. Maybe you didn't. I'm just guessing, but you get my point. And maybe you were like in a great self care era, and then you had children, and your children took up a lot of your time, or you really advanced in your career, and now your career is taking up a lot of your time. So these two factors of self care and being active and fit and healthy aren't on the top of the priority list. And this image here is a good little analogy or reference point per se. So that's like a tie. So more than a quarter, so basically half of your time, if you added up these two fractions, half of your time you spend working, okay, and then like almost a quarter of it you spend on your phone because technology is very addicting these days. Maybe you eat and you spend a lot of time eating, and then you also spend the rest of the time sleeping. So our time can be chewed up very quickly and very easily. I understand that. I work like 10, 12-hour days, so I get it. But we're talking about your health. We're talking about your quality of life. We are talking about your ability to be here for those that you love and care for in your later years. Like it's a serious matter, okay? And if you have to hear that from me, then so be it. I only want the best for people. So although it might sound harsh, I do want the best for you, even if I don't know you. So how to fix it? How to fix these hormonal changes, metabolic changes, lifestyle factors. Okay, here's the icebreaker that you've been waiting for. The fix it list. So, adjusting your caloric intake, changing up your exercise routines, managing stress, and sleep and recovery prioritization. Okay, so with reference, we're going to break down these more in depth in a sec, but with reference to adjusting your calories, you can go on caloriecalculator.net to get a bit more of an understanding of your caloric guidance. Changing up your exercise routine. So maybe that's simply setting an exercise target. I spelled target wrong, but you get my drift. 3, managing stress. So practicing self-care daily. 4, sleep and recovery, sleeping with quality. Now let's break this down. What you've truly been waiting for. So there's two resources that are going to be very helpful for you. One is MyFitnessPal, which is essentially like an app. I'm pretty sure you can access it on your laptop as well, where you can track your foods and get an understanding of how many calories you're actually eating. Only problem is you have to track absolutely everything. And then, caloriecalculator.net, which is a site that you can put in your metrics like your age, etc., your BMI, and get an understanding of how many calories you should be eating. To break it down further, though, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more assistance. So, with exercise, there's lots of ways you can go about it. At the end of the day, whatever creates less friction is going to be most beneficial. And by that, I mean make it easy. Don't make it hard for yourself, and therefore the excuses are going to come into play. Okay, so like a daily step count that isn't 20K, like maybe it's just 5K steps, like 5,000 steps. That's easy access. It's low, but at least it's consistent, and it's going to cause you to move more or more regularly. Something that else that I've found beneficial for some clients of mine is for them to attend like a group class every week. Like it's a set thing inside their schedule. As a set time, the instructor, and you often meet like-minded people there. And if it's a class that you enjoy, you're going to want to show up and you're going to want to exercise. Okay. Another one that people don't think about is rehabilitation. So potentially right now you're sitting with back pain, hip pain, knee pain, shoulder pain. Maybe you're recovering from an injury, which would be rehabilitation as well. And often that might be the thing that's stopping you from exercise. So go get some rehabilitation, whether that's booking in a call with me to understand how to rehabilitate whatever it is that you're struggling with, or going to a physio and whatnot. But for reference, I work with rehab and prehab all the time with different women, foot pain, plantar fasciitis, bulging discs, you name it, shoulder impostures, whatever. Exercise to and from work. So instead of taking the bus, you could cycle to and from work, or instead of taking the lift at work, take the stairs. There's really easy ways to implement exercise into your day-to-day life without it taking up time. Maybe it's parking 5 minutes away from the grocery store, so you have to walk an extra 5 minutes to the grocery store and walk an extra 5 minutes away from the grocery store. 3 at-home workouts per week, so making sure that you set 3 workouts that you can do at home, easy access, and you're going to do it on these days at this particular time, and that can start to form an exercise routine. And then the accountability factor, like, hey, do you want to go on a walk on the weekend? And it's like, it doesn't have to be your friend, maybe it's your partner, whatnot, or maybe you have to walk the dog and the dog isn't getting in enough steps and you should do that. Yeah, having that accountability factor with someone else being involved. A lot of my clients like going on walks with their friend or their partner gets inspired to walk with them because they've lost weight. Self-care. All right. I know it's a cliche term. I don't like this term self-care either, just with the way it sounds. But the more you prioritize yourself and the more energy and time you give to yourself, or the quality of that time more so, the better you can serve anyone else. Okay. It's very true. It's just like if you're a mom right now and you have kids and you're not giving to yourself, you are pouring from an empty cup. Okay. And in order for your kids to look up to you and see their mom as a great representation of balance and health and vitality, you need to be that representation for them. So here are some examples. Meditate 5 minutes daily. Put in like your headphones and do a guided meditation if you haven't meditated before. Skincare, for me, that's one. It's just a personal one, so I just popped it in there. I find skincare is a form of self-care for me. I just love it, and it's like I have to take 5 minutes to do my skincare. Massage, whether that's booking in one or maybe after a workout, massaging, rolling out, stretching, that's really good for your ligaments, tendons, fascia in general, and your mobility. So that can actually help your exercise as well. Sauna, ice baths, so hot and cold therapy, that goes without saying, and it definitely zens out your mind, so that's for sure. Caring for your health in general is self-care, okay? And taking time off work, okay? So if you're one of those people who works for themselves, or you're like the CEO or the founder or someone high up in the management scheme, whilst your job is important, I understand that completely. My job's really important to me too. It's important that you take time off work as well to give back to yourself, because again, you can't pour from an empty cup. And trust me, I've poured from an empty cup before. It didn't do me any services. It just led to burnout, and then took me longer to recover and get back to being the best version of myself for those that I love and care for. So it's actually the intelligent thing to do. Quality over quantity, as they say. Sleep. So a few things that might help you with your sleep. A lot of people aren't aware there's actually sleep doctors, like they are medical professionals in the sleep field, which is absolutely insane, absolutely incredible. And in fact, my partner sometimes struggles with like a version of sleep apnea. Not to start talking about him too much, but yeah, and I said, like, nothing's really going to help unless you go to a sleep doctor. Like, I could recommend all the supplements and all this other stuff that I'm about to recommend to you right now, but if you have sleep apnea, you need to go and see a medical professional, because him and I together, we can't pinpoint what exactly the issue is. So if you have sleep apnea, you need to go to a medical professional. Sleep schedule. So if your sleep is all out of whack, I'm really sorry, because you probably feel exhausted all the time, but you need to fix that. My best recommendation is fixing that within like a 30-minute time slot. So instead of being like, I'm going to go to bed 2 hours earlier, you probably won't. Instead of saying, I'm going to get up 3 hours earlier to get more stuff done during the day, you probably won't. It will make you feel really tired and drained as well, because your circadian rhythm will be thrown off. So the best thing to do is just week by week, adjust it by 30 minutes. So, okay, I'm going to adjust my sleep by 30 minutes, whether that's going to bed earlier by 30 minutes or waking up 30 minutes earlier. Or maybe it's both. Adjust that by 30 minutes every single week. And therefore, over time, you can change that in a realistic way that won't fatigue you, make you feel exhausted. Another one that some people find beneficial is listening to a particular type of music, or there's actually a verb. I don't know if that's the right term. I was never really great at English. I was great at my science and everything like that, but English and spelling, not my thing. But white noise can be very beneficial. So you can search up white noise on Spotify or your phone, YouTube, and you'll find what I mean by that. It's just like really calming, relaxing noises. A comfy pillow. I know that sounds silly, but that can make the world of a difference, because if your neck is like jolted in one way or the other way, it can cut off airflow. Plus, if you're obviously comfy, your body feels more secure, and naturally in your brain, you're going to feel more relaxed, and therefore head into that N1, which is your first stage of sleep. I actually recently bought from there's this like place in Australia called TK Maxx, which is a really cheap store of like basically lots of like luxury brands and things like that. Majority of the time, but like the stock that didn't sell, and they had like these Switzerland like pillows or something, and they're like meant to be $120 pillows, like just for the pillow itself. And we found them for like $50 or something, and they are the most comfy pillows ever. So if I can find the link to that particular pillow brand, I will link it below. You're so welcome, because that has actually made the world of a difference to me. Having a cool room, so your body has to drop to a particular temperature. It has to drop from memory 3 degrees. Your core temperature has to drop by 3 degrees in order to actually fall asleep. So if the room's too hot, you're actually not going to fall asleep, or not at least fall into a deep stage of sleep. And remember, your core temperature is here. So just because your fingers and toes might feel cool, it doesn't mean that your core temperature has dropped, because majority of our body heat is within our abdominal chest like area. And a dark room as well. Okay, so obviously light can wake us up. That goes without saying. So another one, track your menstrual cycle. Okay, if you want to take one thing away from this video, start tracking it. I don't care if you're not menopausal or you are. Regardless, you want to track it. Even if your symptoms aren't bad, you want to track it, because as a woman, your menstrual cycle is going to change anyway. Okay, I'm sure I've got that point across. So it's important that you have the data, so that even if things are fine right now, you can notice the changes to your cycle in the future. You can track symptoms where necessary. And of course, there's always the possibility that you will fall pregnant. And obviously, it's good to have the data in that case. And potentially, you will be menopausal, or you're already menopausal. But if you're not right now, you will at some stage, and so will I. So it's important for both of us to track that, so that we know when we are menopausal, and we have the data to reflect on, and make a smart plan moving forwards. So Flow is the app that I recommend. I think these days you have to pay for it, but it's a worthy investment, that's for sure. On the back end of that, with reference to menstrual health, because that's the main thing that contributes to most of the weight loss plateaus, which is why I heavily focus on menstrual health with all of my clients. I'll just share a couple stories here. So Jordan was an American client of mine. When I met her, she was on birth control, and she felt pretty clouded in the head, and kind of just felt numb every day, like didn't really get excited about much, but also didn't get very sad about much. So just like emotionally kind of like at a plateau as well, along with her weight. And, we got her off it eventually, and she felt a hell of a lot happier, obviously had a sex drive. If you're healthy and you're a woman, you should have a sex drive. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're at. And yeah, you can see her progress photos there. Caroline, so when I met Caroline, she was perimenopausal, and together we reduced the severity of her perimenopausal symptoms, so she could train more often. As you can see in the second photo, she's a lot more toned and fit, but she also knew when to rest and other measures like that. And so Anne had, like, her symptoms weren't bad, but her period was quite often. It was like around every 2 weeks instead of every 4 weeks. So together we worked to regulate those cycles, which meant that she, over the same time span, would lose less blood, which led to less fatigue. And then myself, I've had my own journey with this as well. So I couldn't predict my periods. And when they did come, they were very painful in terms of like cramping. And I got a lot of acne at those particular times as well. And I was able to, change that so that my periods were predictable. My pain was very low and significantly reduced acne as well. So, yeah, that's that. Overall, what you really want to take away from this video is that the reason you're at a weight loss plateau, if you're in the 30 to 50-year-old age bracket as a woman, um, is because you're different to what you were when you were in your 20s. Okay. So, moral of the story, don't try to do the same thing that you did in your 20s because it's not going to work. And just because I like to help people out, if you want those resources, so MyFitnessPal, the calorie calculator, and the Flow app, just DM me Plateau and I'll shoot them right through to you so you have them at hand's reach. In addition to that, if you want to book a one-to-one chat with me to see if I can, help you break your weight loss plateau, but also heal your menstrual health and guide you through a hell of a lot more than just weight loss. But obviously, I'm a weight loss coach. But yeah, anyway, if you don't know me, we achieve a lot more than just weight loss. That's for sure. So you're welcome to book a chat below by clicking in the link in the description. But those chats are only for people who are genuinely interested. I'm not saying that I can help you because I don't know you right now. So it's more of like a chat to see if I can help you and if you're also a good fit. And if you are a good fit and you want my help, then of course we can discuss what the program's actually like in depth and what the tactical strategies would be for you personally. But again, yeah, that's only if you are serious. That's about it for today. Thanks for watching this video. If you did like it, please like it. And I would appreciate a follow on this YouTube channel as well, because I noticed like some videos I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of views, but like no one subscribes. So I would appreciate it because I'm taking my time out of my day to help people for free. And my Instagram channel, if you haven't seen that before, is also linked below if you want to go check that out. But that's it for today. Hope that all helps. And again, if you want the resources, just DM me. So, not an issue. Thank you and bye.